Reverend Rob Lee. Bold, smart, and straight to the point. This is Tarot with an Attitude.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tarot with an Attitude. I am your host, the Reverend Rob Lee. Wow, bang, rang. Okay, people coming in, everybody getting caught up, things getting caught up, things run behind. We know it. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Cynthia, Donna, first one's in the door. I love it. The tribe is forming. I'm watching the numbers grow. Tonight, hey, you know what I'm going to do right now? This is going to be so much fun tonight. Got a special guest tonight, and I don't want to waste any time because you're going to want to ask this young lady a lot of questions. So, but here we go. Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, that divine feminine, that spirit that takes care of us, the universe, as above, so below, everything that is around us, we give thanks. Please make sure that any messages that come from you and not me. So mote it be. All right, there we go. Now, so what we've got here tonight, I have the lovely Aurorah, and she has the Blood Moon Milk podcast. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Aurorah. She's an artist, writer, and producer who has been a dedicated student of Western astrology since about 2008, bringing her knowledge to life through her podcast, Blood Moon Milk, which was launched in 2018. Now, unlike many astrologers, when y'all hear some of this, you'll be like, oh, this is why Rob likes her. Okay. Aurorah is known for her refusal to write conventional horoscopes. Instead, she offers a fresh perspective through her daily email newsletter. All the links down below. The Daily Dose. In it, she distills years of astrological wisdom into digestible insights, helping readers stay attuned to cosmic energies before they unfold, designed to be read in the morning over coffee. I love it. Cheers. Here's the other thing. Aurorah also understands that astrology is more than just predictions. It's a powerful tool for personal growth. She champions the subtle benefits of using lunar cycles as a guide for mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation. This is awesome. She adapts ancient astrological knowledge from the esoteric into a practical, down-to-earth advantage of everyday life. She believes this pause for reflection is meaningful globally, as more mindful world is more peaceful world with more opportunities and abundance for all. So, everybody, without further ado, it's Miss Aurorah. All the crowd clapping, everything else. Everybody's coming in. Yeah, all the comments are starting to pour in. Let's see what's going on here. So, hello, everybody. Aurorah, how are you this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome, and I'm glad to be here. Anybody that doesn't follow the norm, one of the things I try to do is teach people, get out of the norm, break the rules, find out what's going on, and that's it. So, you know what? Why don't we just get this party started? You tell us a little bit about you and your podcast and what makes it different when, what you do.
Yeah. So I would say that as an astrologer, somebody who is constantly devoted to learning about astrology, I started studying back in 2008 formally. But even before that, as a child, I was fascinated with the night sky, with the stars, and I have very vivid memories of being very young. 2, 3 years old, playing in the front yard of my house and being profoundly sad. And my dad coming up to me and being like, well, what's wrong? Why are you so sad? And I said, I miss my home. And he's like, but we are at home. And I was like, no, my home before here. And he was like, oh, where was that? And I pointed up to the sky and I said, I'm from up there. And so there's a part of me that has always resonated with the mythology of ancient Greece, with Roman mythology, and all of these ancient stories that tell us about the archetypes of human behavior, of gods, of parables to instill and passed down wisdom over the generations. And that's one element of what I do when I look at astrological transits now. I look at those archetypes and I think about what's going on currently in terms of global world events and individuals' charts. And I ask people questions about what's going on with them in their lives, and just give them food for thought to answer their own questions.
So let me ask this. So I want to get people caught up, things like that. And some of this is for me. When you use the term astrological transit, what does that mean to you? What? Because help me. Yeah.
That's a great question. So transits are, think of transit means moving, right? So something is moving around, and it's really the movement of that particular planetary body or luminary. A luminary is either the sun or the moon. Planets are, what we think of as planets: Venus, Mercury, all the way through Pluto. And then we have asteroids and fixed stars. But we really want to look at how those things are moving, because they speed up, they slow down, and they kind of have these very distinctive personalities where, when, say, right now, for example, we have Venus and Mercury both retrograde, and they're not functioning at their best. So how does this show up? This is what I mean by using transits for practical use, right? So how does this show up? The stock market's down. Venus is retrograde. Venus rules the stock market. Venus is financial abundance. It's not just romance and love, but it's also literal currency and finances as well. So that's one way we can think of a very simple example of real world applications of planetary transits in real time.
Do you think, let me ask you this, because I have my own theories about the whole retrograde thing. And they don't fit with everybody else. I know when in a birth sign or things like that, that plays into that person's energy. Do you think we have actually given that more energy for negative things to happen because it's become a belief? Am I making myself?
So I think what you're saying is, like, have we created sort of a tulpa around the
become like a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's I think it's a good question. I don't think retrogrades are necessarily bad. I mean, if for example, the stock market's going to go down while Venus is retrograde, place short bets. Like just know where the energy is flowing to and adjust your plan of action to be in line with the flow of the energy. So you're not trying to swim upstream, and that's really kind of what it's for. It's also great for being more internally reflective as well. So there's uses that are really, really, really richly rewarding for retrograde cycles.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, real quick, let me catch this. Joey, I just want to say, Reverend Rob, things are shifting for the better in my life. I've been doing what you tell me, and boom, shakalaka, meditation, manifesting, and listening to the spirit. I also feel a promotion. Very good, very good. Or raise coming. I can feel it. That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's half of it. Putting feet to action. You got to take action to manifest anything. Okay. And then realizing it. So that is just completely awesome. Hey, everybody, Deborah, wow. Good evening, everybody. Everybody's coming in. Mr. Bruce is here. Glad to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And, so here we go. Might be a little off subject, but I got the name Arianis in meditation the other night. All I can find is a misspelling of Adonis. Anybody ever heard of this? I know I heard it clearly. Okay. And what we're talking about here is last week, Cynthia, we had been visited and was actually making contact with one of her guides. Okay. And so we knew it was an angel. And all we knew it was an A word. So we had talked a little bit about that. So let's find out what's going on and see. So now with astronomy. All right, help me. Let me go here. I know I'm going to get this question a lot. Why the name Blood Moon Milk?
Well, I think it's a wonderful time of year to ask that question because just about 2 weeks ago, we had an eclipse, which was a blood moon eclipse.
Yes.
Um, in ancient societies, blood moons were often reviled. They were feared. They thought they were evil omens. And I watched it. I was in LA when the eclipse happened, and I was able to watch it from a rooftop on a cloudless night. And it really did kind of feel evil until the moon started to reappear. So it's taking that fear and alchemizing it to do something where you think of milk as being this sort of soothing balm to kind of cool and calm the nerves and the anxieties that might get stirred up by an anxiety-ridden event. So it's really taking things that could really stress us out, get us freaked out and worked up, and looking at ways to grow from them, to alchemize that energy into something positive. And so that's what blood moon milk really represents.
Okay, that's kind of cool, because that's what I believe. We all have choices, and there's a lot of things. Yes, we use the energy that universe is giving us, like you said, kind of going with the flow, knowing what's happening, different things, especially with the moon and tides and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
All right, but I do believe that people have made it all a bad thing. Because I remember, I told you right before the show, my daddy was a Baptist preacher. All right. Well, right before my mom died, like the year before, you need to watch this video, and it's about the 4 blood moons. And I think Obama was president or something. I don't remember, but it was all going to happen over a blood moon. Okay. And I never watched the video, didn't do anything else, but she was in like this complete terror. And I'm like, number one, that goes against everything the Bible tells you is going to happen. All right. And just, again, that whole, if people don't understand it, they demonize it, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing more powerful to control people than fear, and if you can keep people afraid, whether they're afraid of losing their jobs or their healthcare or their livelihoods, what better way to keep them in line?
Exactly. And fear has been a very big thing. Now, let me ask you this. Where do you feel, all right, when somebody is dealing with different things in their life that revolve around fear, either a failure to move forward, okay, or a failure to make a decision, which I guess is all kind of the same thing. We talk about that in tarot a lot, where fear is having more of an impact in our lives than what we want to realize. We rationalize our fear, I think is the best way to say it. Where do you feel we're getting a better understanding of the astrological signs, astrological energies can help people with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so by looking at somebody's chart, you can really get a sense of the way they are wired and certain placements and aspects. And by the way, if you don't know what an astrological chart is, I just mean a person's natal chart. When you are born, you come into this life, and we use the birth data of your time of birth and the place of birth and the date to create a map of the sky, which is kind of like a map of your soul, so to speak, or what I like to think of as sort of your baseline operating system. The most basic way that you work. And so that can give us a window into a person's proclivities and their strengths, their weaknesses, their areas of opportunities and challenges, but also we can get a sense of timing as to when things are going to be flowing and moving and shaking, and when there might really be periods of stagnation. And so, like, by being able to look at those transits, and you can see, like, okay, well, this period of time, say Mars was retrograde and a harsh aspect to Uranus, for example, that could suggest a desire to want to break free from a scenario, but having to really reconsider the way you want to go about it. And so just being aware of these energies at play, and how they are interacting with your light body and your mental systems, I think can be a relief to a lot of people, because it's real. Like, people are like, oh my God, well, when that planet changed signs or moved on from where it was when it was stationing, or when that aspect lightened up, yeah, things started to move along and be less intense and less frustratingly acute, and things just started to work out. So, you as an astrologer, or me as an astrologer, wouldn't be able to tell you the exact details of somebody's life, but you can give them the highlights, right? You can say, like, this
Okay.
and this, and then the person can start to put the puzzle pieces together for themselves.
Let me ask you something, because Cynthia brings up a great question. She made a statement. Somebody that doesn't actually know that they know their own correct date of birth. All right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is there a way to help them maybe figure it out? Can you do, like, if they set up an appointment to meet with you or whatnot? Is there like like in addictions or whatnot, I could do some reverse engineering to figure out, where the trigger started, trauma, blah, blah, blah. Is there a way that you can actually say, these are your traits here? You got separate what she learned from an adopted family versus what's true to her nature. Can you help her dial that in? Or is that
Absolutely. Yeah. We can look at, it's called reconciliation. And we can look at key events that were really impactful, and then start to make some educated guesses and adjustments. And then we can kind of tighten it up and go from there. But it does take a little bit of research and work on the behalf of the person who is having the session.
Yeah. So Cynthia, there you go. And all of Aurora's links are down below. And for those of y'all, I know I keep saying this, and some of y'all are tired of it, but there are new people popping in all the time. I'm seeing new names and faces or whatnot. One of the things to remember when I say it's in the description, below the name of the title of the video, okay, there's a little word that says more. I wish it said description. All right. Click on that more. The whole description unfolds, and you will see links down there, everything. Aurora's Instagram, all kinds of stuff down there, even an email to reach out and get to her. So somebody in that situation, that's, I never thought about that. So, man, helping somebody even just get to an anchor spot, even if we can't narrow down an exact date and time, man, that would be huge to people.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends who were born in Italy Italy just sort of famously didn't write times on their birth certificates for a long, long time. And also, there's just a lot of different scenarios where people just might not know. But I'm happy to help people to sort of figure it out. But it is a bit of a process. You can't just do it like
you're not knocking this out in a half-hour interview.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like more of a answering questions, talking about major life events, looking at those dates, and then comparing charts with what may have been correlating to different rising signs, dates. And so there's like a bit of hunting and pecking that goes on. And then even then, you don't really know 100% for sure, but it can help people to tap into their intuition, to what feels right for them.
Yeah. And that's important. I do, as the tribe will tell you, talk a lot about using your intuition. It's very important to use that personal knowledge and intuition. In tarot, one of the things there are two cards that are mistaken a lot, and that is the 2, the High Priestess, and then the 18, which is the Moon. And a lot of people think the High Priestess is about intuition, and she's not. She's about knowledge, but it's personal knowledge. And, that goes with intuition, which is the Moon card. So if you're using your intuition, you're not just using, a lot of people want to think intuition is like that. oh, that's so and so on the phone. No, that's more of a psychic ability. The intuition is, like you said, hey, I'm coming up, I'm fixing to invest some money, but I know Venus is going into retrograde. Okay. Let me look at some of these companies and letting that personal knowledge work for you and then go with a gut feeling. So, you know, one of the things that I also really attracted me in your bio was the fact that you don't just like you're not just pitching out horoscopes to do the future.
Yeah.
Why not? Why is that different to you? I like to hear this part.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important for well, first of all, I think that horoscopes are sort of like the gateway drug to astrology, if you will. But they do astrology a disservice because most astrologers who are published in a publication, a newspaper, a magazine, whatever, they have to cast a chart in order to write a horoscope. But the way a chart is cast, it's using a sign on the rising sign to create the delineation for that chart. And a rising sign horoscope is very, very different from a sun sign horoscope. And people just don't say that. They don't explain that. So most people, if they're reading a horoscope in a magazine or in a newspaper, they just say, oh, I'm a Sagittarius sun. Let's read the Sagittarius horoscope, when really they need to be reading the rising signs horoscope. And even then, you might have a rising sign that is in the last third or half of the decant of that sign, and then you're going to be halfway into the next sign's horoscope. So it really is much more effective to have personalized transits done by an astrologer if you want accuracy. And I think that because it's so prominent and prevalent to have these sort of broad stroke horoscopes being published, it's doing the practice of astrology a disservice because so many people are reading the wrong horoscope. And they're just like, oh, I read my horoscope all the time. It's never accurate for me. But unless you're like that very rare person who has a rising sign that is at 1 degree of whatever their sun sign is, then it's going to be wrong. And that is a very, very rare individual. I very rarely see people with that kind of chart come across my desk.
And you know, I find that works the same in tarot when people will be like, oh, I had somebody they did a Celtic cross. Well, that is each card is dictated to a question rather than just sitting down. A lot of times when I do my tarot readings, as the group will tell you, I start flipping cards. There's no, you know, this card, this card, this card. Occasionally for something interesting, I'll be like, oh, this is an interesting spread. And I'll do that, but very seldom can I stick to it because it is one of those things where I want anything people like you and I do, we want to get to the truth.
Yeah.
And you can't capture that truth of spirit in a paragraph or a meme. Or, you know, you just can't. It takes more than that. That's why it's hard for me to do TikToks. You know, I'll do fast ones. But I'm like, okay, you know, but there's no set cards. Now, you know, you said you told your dad you were from up there. Okay. So are we talking about what people today call a starseed?
I think, I'm not sure. I know that I've had several past lives, and most of them probably weren't on this planet. Like legitimately, I have memories of past lives on alien planets, where I had different bodies that just aren't human bodies. And so I think I probably was voluntold or I volunteered to come here and live this life for a reason. I do know that in meditation, I've been told by my guides that I've been murdered 3 times in past lives here, trying to accomplish whatever it is I'm meant to accomplish in this life. And then this life, I get to accomplish my mission. Okay. Now, I don't know what that mission is. Like, they won't tell me that. That just gets to unfold. But it tells me that, well, it must be powerful because people in power have been not too happy about me doing what I do, time and time again. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you know what, you had asked before we started if I could do a reading for you.
Yeah.
Okay. While we're on here, maybe that's something we could do a reading for, and and just say let's see what let's see what Spirit has to say.
All
So
right.
Spirit, Aurora wants to know some guidance towards. I know what you've already put in my head. Okay, about truth, telling people the truth, and breaking through some of this madness about I read my horoscope, understanding. I get people all the time in tarot readings, they just don't like the answer. So they keep coming back. And I've had to tell people on the show, and people here will tell you, where I'm like, I'm not doing that for you anymore.
Yeah.
Asked and answered. I can't help it that you don't want to accept the answer.
Yeah.
And I think, some of that is where we're going. So, anybody that to me that is starting to say truth and getting people to think outside of a pre-programmed box. I don't like rules. I hate rules. Okay. And what I'm getting and it really flooded me when you started talking about that is you're also here to help people like me help spread the word. Rules are not always a good thing. Okay.
Rules generally benefit the people who are in power. And we're in a time period, a really interesting time period, astrologically speaking, right now, where the power shift, the dynamics are shifting from top-down control of corporate, governmental people to the actual grassroots up. Grassroots movement protesting is going to be a lot more impactful now than it was last year because of where Pluto has moved on to. And we're going to see, we're in this 20-year time period where, yes, there's going to be a lot of change. And especially this year, there's going to be a lot of things falling apart. But I think next year, we're going to see the beginning of something really beautiful begin to unfold. So it's going to be a bumpy ride this year. And especially right now, we're seeing it, we're feeling it. We know it's happening.
Right.
But next year, I think we get to see this sort of rebirth of something entirely new, because there's this conjunction between Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, the most powerful degree in the zodiac. And I can't find a time in history where this has happened ever.
Oh, really?
I've looked back 9,000 years at astrological placements, and I have absolutely not seen the same conjunction happen in history that I know of. So
that's ironic, because I've been telling everybody 2025, this is the year to take your steps to begin. And you're saying it's actually next year it's going to open. But I've told everybody, this is my year.
Yeah.
This is anybody's year that wants to claim it. That,
sure, yeah.
5 is a 9, I get into numerology and everything else. And I think that's, something we need to, yes, the energy is there this year. And the fact that you're talking about some of these planetary alignments that haven't been seen before, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
also right now we're in this really interesting portal between eclipses we've got Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde. I think it's also Vesta and Juno are also retrograde. They're asteroids. And this is just giving us this period of review and revision. And then, so everything feels kind of slow right now. But come the end of April, and we move into May and June, things are really going to pick up speed. And we're going to really see a lot of momentum and change.
And folks, again, for those of y'all have heard me talk about it before, retrograde just means the planets have gotten so far away, they actually look like they're moving in reverse. Okay. Yeah. They're not. That's the reason that slow, everything, feels slow or whatnot. And you hear people talking about that type of energy.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, before we start, because we've got 4 cards here, I'm going to do more. But Sierra Dell asks, and I don't know if she was asking you or me, but do you do readings on past lives with your astrology?
I can certainly look at past life markers in a reading, things like the South Node, and there's different aspects that I can incorporate to talk about past lives, especially within relationships. I think it's more interesting in synastry readings or couples readings because you can see maybe where there might be karmic patterns that need to be worked out and resolved. But if you want to do past life regressions, I have a wonderful past life regression therapist who I personally go to, and I'm happy to recommend her.
Okay.
If you want something that is very specifically focused on past life regression therapy and its hypnosis. And
that's what, again, Sierra and Dale, I don't know, you're a little bit newer to the tribe. We've had Rebecca Gregory, very close friend of mine, on who does past life work and regressions. She's done it with me and just can't give her, she lets you do the work. She's not implanting ideas and things like that. So if you want, you can reach out. Again, Aurorah's email is in there. You can find out this person. You can reach out to me. I can get you hooked up with Rebecca or whatnot, So yes, it can be done. I don't do it myself. I can do readings, okay, but it's just not I never have been drawn to it, okay. It's not that I don't believe in it. I do, because I've had my own, all right, but I'll stay in my lane, and that's helping people function, finding their own path, living their best life, and things like that, okay, dealing with past traumas or whatnot.
It's a very specific specialty.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's like asking a medical doctor to be your lawyer or something, like.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. That is something they need to spend time in, delving. If everybody says, I'll do a past life reading for you, and I always tell people, first flag, if they're doing more talking than you are, flag one, because they're implanting ideas and different things or whatnot. So, but yes, so thank you for validating this. Yeah. So in this reading for you that I've gotten, Cynthia, I'll get to you in just a second. It's ironic. What was the card I talked about? It was the High Priestess, number 2. Boom, right out of the gate. All right. And what I'm really picking up here, when I read this, it's talking about disseminating knowledge. One of your things to do here is to bring people to knowledge of their own and kind of break free where they know they're being misled, okay? But they don't know how they know they're being misled, but it just doesn't feel right. And we need to be able to trust in that knowledge when you know, and you're here to help people find that personal knowledge of, oh, that's why I feel this way. Oh, that's why this works this way. Different things. We move over here. Both of these being major arcana cards, okay? So major life things, the Hanged Man. And what we're trying to do here is you're helping people break free. Now, if you notice in this Hanged Man card, everybody's surrounding them like they're fixing to lynch them, okay? Yeah. In most Hanged Man, he's up there on his own. It's a very peaceful card. He's just upside down, taking a look at the world from a whole different aspect and a whole different perspective. What you're trying to do is show people with their knowledge, use their brain, understand there's more here than what you're being told, and it can be used in a completely different thing. And it's time to change your perspective and break free. You're wanting to give people a good, solid foundation in this world. You're trying to help people, I believe you might have said it earlier or whatnot, but we're talking about the world is just in turmoil, especially the United States. It's just in turmoil, okay? And what we're trying to do, I believe one of the things you're here to do is help people get grounded, find and build that good, solid base, okay, that has to do with this life, whether it be financially, at work, with relationships, but it's in the real world. The next thing is, what I'm seeing is to paint people a new picture and help them move forward in their mind, okay? This is the 6 of Swords. One of the things I'm really picking up here is you're trying to break people free so they can see it's okay to leave something behind and set your eyes on a new horizon and restart and go. And you can do so without fear. We have the Nine of Cups. By understanding the realness of what we're talking about and taking the newspaper, taking all the crap out of the astrology world, okay? Once you understand it and know it, you're going to be able to help people manifest true happiness, true joy, that sentimental feeling, that subconscious stuff. What we've got here is, there it is, the other opposing card, the moon. The moon, life is secret. And the moon is that very feminine energy. And if you notice, she doesn't cast as much light as the sun because she's merely reflecting the sun's light in a dark time. So she's trying to show you this, but she can't show you everything. In order for you to get to where you're wanting to go and pass through the beautiful gates, you've got to use your intuition. You've got to start thinking for yourself and stop letting these monsters just bubble up and get more emotional control. And this is what you're helping people to do. It is helping people find their way. The Nine of Coins, manifesting a beautiful world that they live in, understanding this is your journey. And I'm trying to, I'm getting like goosebumps and walk on and everything else. In the South, we would say it's like a duck walk across my grave. Okay. So if this is one of those things that I really feel you're here to help people do. And with that light of having understanding that may be of a further galactical knowledge than just an earth-based knowledge, okay, you're able to help people find how to be grounded in this real world, but in the spirit, okay? You know, what we look at next is we have, Three of Coins. A lot of this, man, with you, is coming out about being in the real world, being here. This is real and manifesting stuff. But Three of Coins is helping people build off of old trauma, off of old life, and helping them build that life they want to live. You're able to give them some knowledge so they can overcome. Here we go. Another major arcana card. Okay. So they can shed the old, grab the new self, that higher conscious, and become. You are here and you're going to help people actually escalate or ascend to that next knowledge level. I'm not talking about walking around in a cape and all this stuff, but being able to get to that next thing, which will help you harness all of that spiritual energy, so you know and can come to peace with it. All right. Finally, we have the Page of Swords. All right. This is you helping people learn that page, get a passion about what they want to be, what they want to know. And you have a passion about giving people true knowledge about what's going on here and out there. And this is where I'm seeing coming up right out of the gate. This is the ultimate reason of your existence and what you're doing. Now, I think this might mold, it might shift as you get older and as you move forward or whatnot. It's going to take a turn, but that passion is there. You feel that passion. You want people to know the truth, and so they can build a life that they deserve to have. All right?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So much really resonated.
Good. Good. And so as you can see by the way I read, it's just cards. I don't do set stuff or anything else. So it's a lot like the way you're doing. Let's take a look at the facts and let's run point A to point B and see what's going on and understand it. So, you've got a lot and you've got a lot coming for you. Okay. So I want everybody to make sure you're subscribing, because there's going to be some great news coming off of our podcast, and you'll find some great new ways to harness, tarot and attitude. We call ourselves the Barefoot Bangarang Tribe. One of the things we want people to do is recapture the magic that they had when they were a child, and we let the world beat it out of us. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can find your magic, you can find your wings, and you can fly again. And this is going to be something that you're going to help people do. I think you and I were put in each other's path for a reason, and you're doing, because astronomy or astrology is in the cards. It's built in the cards, different things. My old brain, it's almost like, okay, I got the cards, I channel spirit. It's too much for me to add the astrology part to it. Okay. But it's one of those things, you know. So Cynthia says, I'm curious about past lives. Do you have any scars or birthmarks that could come from a previous murder? And I have an exorcist friend, Laura Van Tyne, on Wednesday night. We do a show, and we just did a birthmark show. So great question, Cynthia. And, you know, so she's asking, do you have any scars or birthmarks that you believe?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Very simple.
On the back of my head, you can't really see because I have a lot of hair, but there is this bulbous like point on the back of my head, at the base of my skull, that I believe was a wound of some, like an exit wound of some sort.
Okay.
I don't know from what kind of weapon, but I believe that that is definitely an exit wound from either
you said that,
what's
I
up?
had the vision of some type of, like, I don't know why, just came in, but a pickaxe.
Oh,
I don't know if that would make any sense or not, but I've also got the feeling like it penetrated. You notice you said exit wound, that it penetrated through the eye.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's where that exited from.
Yeah.
So that's just,
interesting.
Yeah.
I also have something called a pollinatal cyst, which is at the base of my spine. I was born with it. And it's pretty rare. It can be life-threatening. Mine wasn't, but I think it's a residual past life thing also. It's at the very base of the spine. And it just looks like a deep dimple. But like some people's aren't closed, and when they're born, mine was, luckily. Some people have to have surgery to close it.
Wow.
But I think that's also some sort of, either I was strung up or I don't know. I think my guides have hidden the ways, all the nasty ways I was taken out for my own psychological protection. But I do think that is connected to one of the ways I may have been in a past life.
So there you go, Cynthia. Yep. So see, it falls right along with what we were talking about. Monica, I love those cards. These are the Lost Tarot. My wife got me these cards. They were a Kickstarter deck. We do a lot of Kickstarters to support, creative people or whatnot. She had made another batch, but they all sold out. You can look up the Lost Tarot and see. She said she was going to put them out again. Last time I checked, she had not. But I had them for a while and was stuck with another deck. I've got hundreds of decks. And then all of a sudden, this one, Spirit told me one time to start using this one. And y'all see I gravitate to it a lot. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 others. Because Spirit might just tell me, hey, go grab a different deck because I got some different picture I want you to see. So, that's what's going on. I've had 2 past life readings. Both were different lives and amazing. And that's good. That's good. If it's the same thing over and over again, it's one of those things where you got to kind of watch out. Mm-hmm. So, Aurorah, let me ask you this, okay? Is there something when you came on the show tonight, you're like, I'm really picking up, this is something very important I need to pass on to people?
I think, astrologically speaking, the time period that we are currently existing in is incredibly unusual and significant. The astrology of this year, of 2025, and even backing up just a little bit to the end of 2024, in November 19th, 2024, Pluto moved from Capricorn from the last time in our lifetimes into Aquarius, where he'll be for the next 20 years or so. Pluto moves very slowly, has a 240-year orbit, and so he'll never be back in Capricorn in our lives. And between Pluto moving into Aquarius in November and the end of this year, every single planet will change signs. And I have never looked at another year where all the outer planets change signs in the same year.
Okay.
And then also leading up to next year's Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the Aries point. To me, this says we are in historic times. And I think that we have chosen to be here on some level to usher in the change, to witness the change, to be here, to be part of it. And I think with that, we have the choice. What side do we want to be on? Do we want to be on the side of kindness, of love, of humanitarianism? Or do we want to be stuck in outdated, outmoded ways of fear, of greed, of disease, and all these things that can really be overcome through kindness, peace, and benevolence, and so that's sort of the tipping point that we're at cosmically. And I do think that through meditation, and that's a big part of my show as well, is I use the lunar cycles, new moons and full moons, as a check-in point for ourselves, just that every single person can do. And part of my show is I ask people to check their astrology charts, see where the new moons are, see where the full moons are, consider what's going on in their lives, and meditate on it, and write things down, be mindful, and then make goals that are set in reality, to help manifest the life you want to live. And I think if you can set the intention of, okay, well, the world is going on outside of myself, and I can really only control what I can control, right? And most of the time, that is just our thoughts and our behaviors and our reactions to whatever is going on out there. And so I think one of the big weapons that the outmoded, the outgoing power structures have been using against the masses is fear. So if you can choose to operate
from every angle of life,
absolutely,
fear, every angle,
remind yourself to choose to not be operating from a place of fear, but instead to operate from a place of love, kindness, acceptance, and abundance. And that means accepting the people who are also operating in fear, but like giving them love and kindness. Then I think that we collectively, we can raise the vibration of the planet. And I think that's the way to move forward.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's stop worrying about trying to get, you don't have to change everybody's mind. Your mind doesn't have to change if you're comfortable in your belief. But when you start having these, wait a minute, something shook me a little bit, question everything. Question, find out. There's a reason in your intuition you're starting to question, what is astrology? Where does it come from? How does it happen? Wait a minute, we've been told that witches do this and everything. And you know what? Come to find out, no, it's just not true.
Well, don't even get me started on witches. Witches are demonized as a tool of the patriarchy to control women, and it's just a way to subjugate and promote fear and to control people. Most witches were actually midwives and doctors who focused on obstetrics and OBGYN issues.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And that's what, and even with men, the fear, you've got to act a certain way. We're all being controlled. And, I noticed that most religions, when you say the word religion and there's a doctrine affixed to it, it's fear-based.
Oh, yeah.
They will tell you it's not, oh, no, we want you to have joy and everything else. But you're trying to tell me that the God of love, the God created a special place to torture everybody that just didn't go along. We're starting to question.
Oh, yeah.
These are some of the things. And any time that power structure starts getting shook and they're losing their grip, folks, you get what we have now. And I'm not talking about either side. I'm talking about both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That it's one of those things where we have to regain control through fear. The right will tell you the left's destroying the world. The left will tell you that the right's destroying the world. Where, and it's all like, wait a minute, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Okay. Yeah, there's stuff I disagree with. All right. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and with the show teach people, hey, a lot of this stuff doesn't matter, and then get on my Facebook account and start blowing up about all my politics. That's just a whole, you're doing the fear thing, whether you believe it or not. And we have a lot of well-meaning people that are contributing to the fear factor. And I think you bring up a very, very valid point. Witchcraft is not evil. I haven't been a witch for 25 years. Harm none, but take no shit. And that's it. And even then, I will tell you, and I want people to understand, when we say we don't take any shit, sometimes we need to take some shit and just let it roll. We really do, to be that better person, because we don't understand what's driving, or the fear that's driving somebody else. I'm not going to let you run over me. Okay. Yeah. I'm the last person you really want to go head to head with. But at the same point, I'm not where I was 25, 30 years ago, where I have to take a dead stance. In the end of things, I got to look and go, okay, me taking this stance in this venue or whatnot, is it doing more harm than good?
Yeah.
And we lose sight of that. So, that's just, it's one of those things. Focus on what you can control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what, when I started reading your bio and everything, man, I fell in love with you, as far as that. So I'll be setting up a reading about, with, for the whole astrological thing or whatnot. Cause I know everything about me is nothing simple. Okay. So, it's one of those things you're going to be like, oh, this is fun.
Oh, well, Aquarius, and I asked you before the show, like what your sun sign was. Aquarius is the most complicated of the air signs. It's ruled by Uranus, which is the...
yeah, my ex-wife said the same thing.
But I'm an Aquarius rising, and so I understand Aquarian energy quite profoundly, but it's difficult energy because it's very strong. It's not particularly willing to compromise.
Right. No, and I don't. I will go along with different things, but there comes a point where, I will not compromise my values or things like that. So so look for me. I'll be setting up a meeting with you.
Oh, I can't wait.
To find out what's going on. We're going to have a good time. So. Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming up on the end of this here. I'm going to ask you, and if anybody's got any other questions, Monica wants to know, what about Leo? Well, how do you answer?
Leo is it's the sun sign that I'm not surprised people are asking about, because Leo is ruled by the sun and they're the most magnetic of the zodiac. However, so they like to be in the spotlight and in leadership roles. But with Pluto being in Aquarius for the next 20 years, that means that Pluto is going to be opposing Leo for the next 20 years, which can be quite difficult for Leo energy.
Ah, okay. So, Monica, that means you're going to get mad at me. Okay. No, I'm only teasing. Monica, I love Monica. She is a big supporter of the show, everything else. You know what? I'm going to go here. One last question, because I kind of get where this is coming from. And I think we're fixing to hear some different things about sun sign, moon signs, and how things cross. And this is why you need to set up a session with Aurorah. Okay. What if you're a Gemini, but have no trait of Gemini? I'm all Taurus. Why is that? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah. So it sounds like they're on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. But with that, if your sun is in the sign of Gemini, that means there could be a lot of other personal planets in the sign of Taurus. That could be your moon, your rising, Venus, Mercury, whatever. But I'd have to look at your chart to be able to give you a specific reading. But just remember that it's astrology, really like, good astrology is more than just your sun sign. It is a
Exactly.
whole picture that is specific to you, and it's a picture of your energy and the way that you are wired, and we can learn a lot from it. It's very, very deep. I tend to work with clients on a quarterly basis, so people will come and see me for an initial reading, and there's a lot of education, a lot of getting to know one another during that initial session, and then I see you 3-4 months down the road, and you get your transits in the meantime that are basically what your personalized horoscope is for that day for you to use between sessions to help guide you on your mindfulness mission, your meditations, so you can manifest the life you want. And then we check back in 3 months, and then I give you where the houses of the full moons, the new moons will be, and we can talk about what's going on. And I'm kind of like an astrological therapist in a way, and people love it.
That's good. So, folks, down below, set up a session. I'm going to set up a session, okay? And because it's with somebody doing this correctly. I know my wife had somebody build my chart. She had me ask my mom before she passed away what time I was born, the day, and blah, blah, got it all. And the first time the person who did it looked at it was like, oh, I get it now. It's one of those things. But it's something. So it takes time to understand, but it will help you down the way. And you use it just like you do a tarot reading. It's help me understand the energies that are flowing in my life. And they're going to change from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And Aurorah would be a very strong tool to have in your back pocket. Okay. So again, if you want to do a session with me, down below in my link tree, boom, right there, set it up. But Aurorah, thank you so much. This has been completely awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. The pleasure has been entirely mine.
All right, folks. And as all that being said, take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. Wow. Banger.